You're a winner at every game. That's where the excitement begins. So catch Indian fever. Be a believer with the Cleveland Indians.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the November 29th, 2018 edition of the Lake County Sentinel Podcast. I'm your host, publisher, and sports editor of the Lake County Sentinel, Tim Shirer. We'll be with you for a half hour. We'll talk sports for 15 minutes, and then we'll talk, some news and politics for the final 15 minutes. Right now, we're going to start with we're going to talk about the Cavs a little bit. We're going to talk about the Indians a little bit. We're going to talk about the Browns a little bit, and we're going to talk about we're going to have NFL predictions. My son Tommy will be joining us, and we'll give our NFL predictions for tonight's Thursday night matchup, and then we'll talk about politics after that. But it's a good matchup tonight. Actually, it's the Cowboys and the Saints. So that should be a good matchup. I think, we'll discuss that in a little bit. But let's start with the Indians. Some of these rumors are just they're preposterous. They're a joke. There is no let's put this out there right now. Unless the Indians get Mike Trout, okay, or Vladimir Guerrero Jr., they are not trading Trevor Bauer. They have control of Trevor Bauer for a couple more years. They are not trading Trevor Bauer. Any local news outlet that is reporting that the Indians are going to trade Trevor Bauer has a different agenda, and their agenda is to make the Indians look stupid, to make the team they work for look better. The guy who reported that on the 6 o'clock news and made it like it was an actual fact, his sports department reported it, is ridiculous. There is no way the Indians will trade Trevor Bauer unless they get a ton for him. It's not going to happen, people. Don't believe that crap. That's what it is. Don't believe that crap. They are not trading Trevor Bauer. They have wanted Trevor Bauer since before he was drafted by the Diamondbacks. They are not giving him up, especially when he's getting to the point now where he could win the Cy Young next year. The only reason probably he didn't win it this year is because he got hurt. They're not trading Trevor Bauer. They are not trading Trevor Bauer. Okay? I think I could say that 1,000 times. That is the truth. The Indians are not going to trade Trevor Bauer. Okay? So the Browns announcer can say that all he wants, but they're not going to trade Trevor Bauer. Okay, go back and talk about the Browns, right? They're not trading Trevor Bauer, but they might trade Corey Kluber. But some of the things I'm hearing is if they're going to trade Corey Kluber for Yasiel Puig, that's horrible. They better get more than Yasiel Puig, okay? Because I can't stand that guy. I'll tell you what, I really don't like Cody Bellinger. But I'll take Cody Bellinger before I take Yasiel Puig, okay? Actually, who I would want from the Dodgers is Jock Peterson. But I don't think Jock Peterson, there's a lot of control years left. And I think that's what the Indians are going to trade for if they trade Kluber. They want to trade for a guy they can control for 3 or 4 or 5 years. So, if they're going to trade for 1 or 2 players, they're going to get guys they can control. And I don't think they'd control Peterson that long. Bellinger, they would control for 4 more years. So, that would be nice. I'm not sure how long they would control Yasiel Puig. Let me see here. Let's see when his contract is up. He's free agent eligible in 2020. So really, they would only control him for 1 more year. Now, I don't think they're going to trade for Yasiel Puig. People could say that, but I don't think that's going to happen. There is more likely of a case if they traded Kluber to the Dodgers, it would be for Cody Bellinger. They would have control of him through 2023. And to me, that's a smart move, because I would think by 2023, Kluber's out of the league or close to being out of the league by then, and you still have Bellinger on your team. So I would think Bellinger, even though I'm not a fan of him, I don't think he respects the game. I don't like some of his antics. He doesn't always hustle. Hustles more than Yasiel Puig. But if the trade was going to be made, if it had to be made, I would take Bellinger, but I would have to think they would get another prospect or two along with him. I mean, Kluber is, a two-time Cy Young winner. They're just not going to give him away. Okay, the Dodgers have a lot of prospects too, so they could give up a lot to get Kluber. So I don't know if that's even going to happen, though. The Indians, I feel like the Indians are going to ask a lot. They're just not giving him away. So, Kluber probably is not going anywhere. Bauer is not going anywhere. I mean, that's ridiculous. So, but if Kluber left and they got Bellinger and maybe a prospect or two from the Dodgers, I could live with that. I mean, let's face it. I don't think Kluber's what he was 2 years ago. His stuff does not break like it did. It doesn't move as much as it did, and it's not going to go back up. Okay, a pitcher only has so much life in his arm, and it's not going to all of a sudden start when he's whatever he is. I mean, Kluber is, Kluber in 2000, in the 2019 season, Kluber will be in his age 33 season. Okay, but that's what those idiots that think they're reinventing the game, how they like to say it. But Kluber will be 33 during next season, and you're not getting any younger. Your arm's not getting stronger at that point, unless you're Nolan Ryan. But Nolan Ryan comes along once in a generation, and I don't think Corey Kluber's Nolan Ryan. So I think that if they could get a good package for Corey Kluber, trading him is not the worst thing in the world. If you start rebuilding a little earlier where you can still win, the years where you don't maybe win your division are 2 or 3 instead of like 6. People need to understand that. They'll have to rebuild eventually. Wouldn't it be better to start a little earlier and still win your division? I think that the fact that Channel 3 reported that about Bauer, what a joke. What a joke. Kluber, I can understand. He probably, he could get traded. If they traded him for Bellinger, I would be okay with that. Like I said, even though I can't stand the guy because he's classless and he doesn't respect the game, but he's better than Yasiel Puig. Like I said, I would rather have Jock Peterson, but Peterson doesn't have a lot of control. They would control Cody Bellinger through 2023, which is huge. That's, what is that? That's 5 years of control. So that sounds like something they do. We'll see. But don't be convinced they're going to trade anyone like that, any of the starters. Okay, and now let's talk about the Cavs for a couple minutes. Here, we've got, they lost. They lost by a pretty good margin to Oklahoma City last night. But they actually were in that game the first half. They played all right. They were tied at halftime, 47-47. The third quarter got away from them. That's what happens with young teams. And I just get so mad when I hear people say the Cavs are a mess. They're not a mess. They are not a mess. The 2016 and 17 Browns, that was a mess. Okay? The 1987 Indians, that was a mess. All right? That was a mess. I see this Cavs team more like the 91 Indians. Yeah, you're right. They went 57 and 105, but there were pieces there. And that's what I see with this Cavaliers team. There are pieces there. Jetty Osman, Larry Nance, Colin Sexton. You know, there's pieces, and more than just what I named. You know, Jordan Clarkson basically saying last night that they have more talent than the Celtics. I love that. After the game when he said that, that's beautiful. That's the mentality they need. You know, even guys out. George Hill's been out. Kevin Love's been out. You know, so the Cavs are in better shape than people want to give them credit for. You know, but that's typical Cleveland sports. So I'm not going to dwell on that here. But I think what we're going to do now is I'll talk of the Browns. The Browns this week play the Houston Texans. They are a 7-point underdog in Houston. So I don't know. I think people are going to be brought back down to earth this week. You know, J.J. Watt is a monster, and the offensive line is not that good. But then they have Jadeveon Clowney, too. Are you kidding me? He's going to be running for his life, but he can run for his life pretty well. I've got to give him credit for that. Mayfield, he runs pretty well. He's, you know, he gets out of situations, and that's one of his big qualities that I like. So, but I don't know. I'm not going to give my pick tonight. You know, why would I give it tonight? I'll give it Sunday morning. You can, you know, remember, you can always visit the website, Lake County Sentinel website, www.lakecountysentinel, SENTINEL.com. Follow us on Twitter at LCSentinelCom or Sports Sentinel at Twitter. Or you can follow me at Indians Tim on Twitter. But those are the ways you can, you know, you can get a hold of us. You can tweet at us, and then maybe I'll read your tweet on the air, or maybe I won't, you know. But let's get to the NFL prediction for tonight. We've got a couple minutes left here. My son, Tommy, is now going to join us. Tommy. Tommy bowls for Wycliffe, the Wycliffe Blue Devils bowling team. They won their match today against East Lake North, so that was good. Even though, you know, they didn't have their best day, they still won the match, which was good. But let's get to the NFL pick. Tonight's game is a really good game. You have to admit, it's a good game. You know, the Cowgirls and the Saints. You know, the overrated Jason Garrett coaching against Sean Payton, who's won a Super Bowl. You know, Dak Prescott against Drew Brees. I think Prescott's pretty good. I'm not going to rip him. I love Ezekiel Elliott. Alvin Kamara, I really like him. Saints defense is much better than I thought they were going to be. So my pick, I'm going with the Saints, even though the Cowboys are a home dog on turf in a dome on a Thursday night, last Thursday in November, 7.5-point dog. I'm going with the Saints, and I'm going 12 points. What are you
Saints
doing?
with 12 points.
How about that? We agree on something.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
So we'll probably both be wrong.
Yeah.
Cowboys will probably cover or they'll win. So, but I hope not. I'd like to see the Saints win. But that's pretty much, thanks for being here, Tommy.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the sports portion of our show tonight. And we'll be right back with the political and news portion of the show. Welcome back to the Lake County Sentinel Podcast for our second half of our half hour. And now we'll be talking a little bit of news and politics. There is quite a bit of news out of Washington, D.C. today. Well, I got it's quite a bit, but there's, the news that Michael Cohen has been indicted and pled guilty to lying to Mueller and Mueller's team. Oh, well, I guess he pled guilty to lying to Congress about Trump's knowledge of the Moscow project. Okay. What's funny is today when you listen to Trump, he's starting to he's getting worried because now he's saying, I was still a businessman at this point. I had business dealings with people. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, colluding with our enemy to win the election. No, buddy, you can talk, you can say all you want, but I think this investigation is probably it's gonna wrap up after January. I don't know when, I don't know how soon after January, but it's gonna end after January. And I have a feeling, I have a real strong feeling at this point, it's not going to end well for Donald Trump or his kids. I saw a Watergate prosecutor talking today saying that Trump's children better lawyer up. They better get some legal consultation because Ivanka, Donald Trump Jr., that weasel, his son-in-law, that weasel, Jared Kushner, they could be in real trouble. And let's not, people don't talk about him involved in this, but let me tell you something. Let's not assume that Mike Pence is completely innocent in this whole thing. Mike Pence, this was around the time that Mike Pence was picked as the VP candidate. And let's not assume that Mike Pence didn't know about any of this. Okay? Mike Pence might have known. Mike Pence might be in trouble too. Let's not just assume that Donald Trump is the only guy that Mueller could be going after here. Yeah, Trump is the big prize. Okay, he's the one that Mueller and the prosecutors want. But let's not fool ourselves into thinking that Mike Pence couldn't be indicted also. I just think it would be so hilarious that it wouldn't be hilarious. It would be a bad look for our country. Not like the last 2 years haven't been a bad look for our country, but it would cap off the bad look for our country if Trump and Pence had to resign and leave office. How ironic would it be if that actually happened? And there is actually a possibility of this. Let's not fool ourselves that there isn't a possibility. There's a definite possibility that both Trump and Pence could go down in this investigation. There is definitely a possibility of that. How ironic would it be if Nancy Pelosi, who's probably going to be retained as Speaker of the House, she's going to be reelected. She's going to get the job back that she's held before. How ironic would it be if Nancy Pelosi became President of the United States for the final 2 years of the term? That would be unbelievable. Trump supporters would absolutely, positively lose their minds if this happened. They would lose their minds. They would be, as my dad would say, they would be out of their gourds. They would lose their minds. They wouldn't know how to handle this. I think it would be hilarious. So, this is not going well for Trump. It really isn't. And let's remember that Michael Cohen, there was nobody closer to the president than Michael Cohen. The guy who co-authored Trump's biography his name escapes me at this time. He said that when he was working on the book and Trump introduced him to him, he said, "This is the guy that's closest to me. This is the guy that puts out fires for me. This is my guy that handles all the trouble." How about that? But now Trump and the administration are trying to say, well, he didn't really do that much for us. He was just a guy that was there. He didn't really do that much for us. Considering what we are hearing is the exact opposite. And what Trump, before there was any trouble, used to talk about Cohen, that he was his right-hand man. So, but I find it interesting too, that Trump was going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and now he's canceled the meeting. Why did he cancel it after all this came out today? Why would he cancel it? Well, of course, he claims it's because they haven't, given the hostages back from Ukraine. I mean, he didn't seem to care about those hostages last week. He's going to go ahead with the meeting. But now today, he's concerned for those hostages. We know what he's concerned about. He's concerned about keeping the presidency of the United States. And chances are, at this point, he could lose that. There's a real possibility that this investigation is headed into waters that only Watergate went into in our country's history. And if he starts to lose support of his party, who, remember, in just 32 days, his party will not be in control anymore of Congress, of the House. They'll still control the Senate, yes, they will, but they will not control the House. So there's going to be investigations, and there's going to be everything that he doesn't want can happen on January 1st. And that's when the real trouble begins for him. Even though he claims that he can do whatever he wants, I think that he's going to find out he couldn't do whatever he wants. He wasn't allowed to do whatever he wanted. But, only time will tell. But I feel like this is not going to end well for him, or for Mike Pence, or for any of the Trump children, and that son-in-law, Jared Kushner. He's a sniveling weasel, that guy. Oh, my God. That's a kid who grew up rich, had everything handed to him, thinks he's just amazing. He's never had to prove anything. He's done it all, and he had it all handed to him. Now he's got even more power. I've always said he's more dangerous in the White House than Donald Trump. And the Saudi Arabia incident with Jamal Khashoggi being killed proves that Trump listened to him. Kushner has dealings with the Saudi prince. So what did they do? What did they do to Saudi Arabia when, Jamal Khashoggi was killed? What did they do? They did nothing. They're doing nothing. Nothing will happen. They will impose no sanctions because Jared Kushner has business dealings with the Saudi crown prince. So there we go. That's that. Like I said, when Trump got elected, that Jared Kushner is the most dangerous person in that White House, and he is. He controls Donald Trump. He has a big influence on Donald Trump, and he's dangerous. Okay, he is a dangerous person, and I'll tell you what. I think that he's going to go down with Trump. So let's see how that all ends up. And I think that we're getting close now to some sort of conclusion with this, and hopefully, soon it will conclude. And like I said, it's not going to conclude the way Trump supporters and Donald Trump wanted to conclude. I really don't think so. And I think the Michael Cohen thing today just is further evidence. Paul Manafort, it's just more evidence. I mean, these guys were close to Trump. He can deny it however he wants. And he could say, oh, Manafort was only my campaign manager for a short time. Yeah, but it was during that time when some illegal things were going on. And that's what he's scared to death about. But even though I can't wait till the Democrats subpoena his tax returns. Oh, yeah. I can't wait till they subpoena his tax returns, and it's going to show right there all the dealings he has with Russia. What's he going to do then? Is he still going to try to convince people that he's never dealt with Russia when there's going to be evidence that he did? No. He knows there's a lot of evidence out there that will bring him down. And he's just hoping somehow he can weasel his way out of it, and he can continue to lie. In the fact that he lies to everybody, let's be clear, including lying to his supporters, because he can tell them whatever he wants. He could tell his supporters that the moon is much hotter than the sun. He could tell his supporters that most grass turns orange because of the sunlight and not green. He could tell his supporters that water is something you should never drink, and you should drink arsenic instead. They'd believe it. They would believe it hook, line, and sinker. So the fact that they don't think he's lying is not even a surprise to me. But all of this that came out today, and it came out with Manafort recently, it's all going to show us what's there. I'm sure Mueller knows. I'm sure he's just crossing his T's and dotting his I's at this point. He knows where he's got Trump. He knows what he's got on him. It's going to all come out soon, Donnie. It's all going to come out soon. And all of your supporters. So that's all the time we have for tonight. I hope you'll join us again tomorrow on the Friday evening podcast, where we'll talk about a variety of things. Thank you. Everybody have a good evening and stay safe.